Behind the beautiful beaches and magnificent landscapes, the Philippine Army is currently engaged in two fronts: a waning Islamic separatist movement in the south, and a nationwide communist rebellion. Branded as terrorists by the United States, these MAOIST extremists hides in the shadows, engaging in an ongoing guerrilla warfare with the government for more than 50 years.
I've said in many of my writings that the National Democratic Front, especially its militant arm, the New People's Army, has been instrumental in many social changes in our country.
June 6, 2021, a group of bikers was out on a morning trail in the outskirts of Masbate City, Philippines, when suddenly a landmine exploded. Gunfire followed. They were being ambushed by an armed group called New People's Army, a Maoist rebel group that wreak havoc in the rural areas of the Philippines. The group of bikers, among them was Nolven Absalon, age 40, his son, 16 years old, and his nephew, Keith Absalon, a 21-year-old promising football player. Keith and Nolven were gunned down. Keith begged for his life and pleaded for mercy from the killers. After all, they were civilians, but he was summarily executed, while Nolven's son narrowly escaped with his life. They were mistaken to be police. The entire country mourned and demanded for justice. Nolven and Keith are just two casualties of an ongoing war. To understand this war, we have to go back in time. 1570. Spaniards from the Americas and Spain come to Philippines to seek fortune in conquest. To establish control in the islands, the Spaniards employed the encomienda system, a system that rewarded brave soldiers who came to newly acquired territory and became encomienderos, which loosely translate to the entrusted. As an encomiendero, they were entitled to tributes by agricultural products and labor by the natives. In return, the encomienderos provided protection, Catholicism, and supposedly the Spanish language. The tax was burdensome to the natives, and an additional forced labor was enacted called polo e servicio that gave the Spaniards unlimited slave labor. By 1591, the Principalia system was enacted. Natives of noble ancestry who embraced Catholicism became the Principalias, and by the blessing of the Spanish colonial officials, the natives became the new elites of the Philippines. They became the encomienderos, loyal only to the King of Spain. These natives control land and labor of other natives in the European fashion. Many married Spaniards that gave rise to the mestizo class and were given honorifics like Don and Doña, while the natives toiled under the heat of the sun. This continued until the turn of the 20th century and is still happening now in rural areas of the Philippines. This injustice, where the elites are held in the helm of power, coupled with government corruption, fueled the communist movement, mainly composed of poor, educated peasants. Their numbers swelled in the 30s and 40s. Organized, they formed the group Hukbong Bayan Laban sa Hapon, or HOOKS. They fought the Japanese. They were fierce soldiers and dependable assassins. After World War II, however, they turned their guns to the Philippine government, who they deemed as puppets of the United States. This was the first insurgency faced by the Philippine government. In the 1970s, the New People's Army came to existence, the armed group of the Communist Party of the Philippines, and to this day continues to wage war against the Philippine government. These rebels fund their war by extorting money from large corporations in the Philippines, like mining companies, large plantations, government contractors, even telecommunication services, threatening to kill and burn those who refuse to pay. July 29, 2021, 4 a.m. In the island of Samar, government contractors refused to pay extortion money to the NPA. Rebels burned construction equipment simultaneously in the towns of Quirino and San Francisco, sabotaging cell towers to disrupt communications in rural areas, assassinations of rural officials who opposed them. These are just the few things they do to wage war against the Philippine government. The NPA recruit the poor in the rural areas, young people with no prospects for a better future in the current government system. The NPA offers a way out of poverty by promising the recruits salary, food for their family, and protection. These people are lured into the organization as a way to escape poverty, while young impressionable college students from universities are recruited to fight in the mountains and become officers. Like Chad Book, a young fresh graduate from University of the Philippines, Diliman. He graduated cum laude. He was killed in action in February 2022 by the Philippine Army in Cagayan de Oro. A young man full of potential, lost. However, this problem is not black and white. There are legitimate left-leaning groups in the Philippines, such as Anak Bayan, Bayan Muna, and Gabriela. These left-leaning parties are legitimate political parties that win elections but are closely linked with the current insurgency in the Philippines.